Hi, you guys. It's been a minute, hasn't it? I'm here now in our new apartment. Yeah. And I have a new member of the family, which is my dear, dear microphone. As my dad thought that it would be awesome if I had a microphone in my videos. So yeah, I actually agree with him. I love when people have a good microphone. Although I actually watch videos in all qualities. So it's all about the person for me. It's all about what they're saying, but it's nice with good sound. So thanks, Dad. I appreciate you and your advice. I'm deep in the deconditioning process. In my journey right now, and actually from the start, I've been focusing on, first of all, my manifestor aura, how it's perceived and how I feel within it. Secondly, actually, my profile, I've been thinking a lot about how my four line shines out into the world and what it needs, but also my sixth line because I am on the roof. I've been there now for a few years, 4 or 5 years. So, I really feel like I've reached new levels of comfort, and I'm also feeling more mm, I'm feeling like the wisdom that I've gained from my life experiences is really integrating within me. And I know I also feel I have difficulties still living out all of my wisdom, which is normal for this part of a six line journey. And I feel difficulties talking about it as well, which is probably why I have this YouTube channel because I'm practicing sharing my stories and my experiences so that one day I might be more confident in the future, expressing and showing, role modeling, really. So that's interesting. But the main part that I'm right now focused on and have been from the start as well, although in the start I didn't really comprehend what all of the things meant. And I still don't fully comprehend everything, of course, because it's about embodiment and understanding where your natural energy is the energy centers, both the empty, both the undefined and the defined. And in the undefined, let's start with the undefined centers. So I have an undefined crown or head, ajna, spleen, sacral, and root. So what I first started what came natural to me was thinking about the pressure centers and feeling them. How do they behave out in the world? So they were the ones I noticed at first. So obviously, I'm getting pressure from above and below, which means that I started to experiment with how can I put up some boundaries here, because obviously I don't know when enough is enough. I always went overboard with the scrolling on the phone, watching shows at work. Like I just kept, soaking in information, and that's not good for you when you have an empty crown. And time pressure, like at work, especially, obviously, I take deadlines very seriously. Maybe because I have a defined heart, I always want to follow what I promise. I feel terrible when I break a promise, and that's even with the smallest things. So obviously, if someone gives me a deadline, I basically went above and beyond risked everything to keep that deadline. That's just how it was and how it actually is still to a certain degree. So it was really, really good to start being, what's the word I'm looking for? Aware, obviously aware of this, because that meant that at work, when I started noticing, ooh, here's a deadline, how do I approach this? Or, oop, I got an email. Do I need to open it straight away now when I'm doing this other task? Because these things happen during my day. I was suddenly aware. And that is, the biggest step you can take, because when you start seeing how your day actually is and feeling it in your system, that's where the magic happens. That's when you can make change. So I started doing that. And then I started thinking about the sacral. And the sacral, interestingly enough, I notice the most when I'm at home, because I'm living with a sacral being who has a lot of power, a lot of energy in his sacral. Like, I call him a machine because he can just do stuff. He can just do, and he like gets fired up about it. And I can see it's like natural. And when I catch that and it like sets in my system, I go like bananas. And he usually asks me like, are you stressed? Are you in a hurry? Like, are you okay? Because obviously my pressure centers are there and my sacral starts like buzzing and I don't really know what to do. So it's really nice having that reminder in my partner that he notices it straight away and he can actually tell me. I don't notice it because I just turn into this energizer bunny and just like, run back and forth in the apartment, even if we're not in a hurry. Like, I don't know when enough is enough. So it's at home when I really notice the sacral and the buzzing and what it does to me. So the thing there is just to take a step back. Like, that's what I've noticed is the best for me. I take a step back, especially when he reminds me that, hey, what's going on now? And I just chill, because I have that amount of energy when I'm in an urge. But outside of that, it doesn't really happen. It's like very rare. So obviously, I'm very exhausted after I act like that. So it's really good to get those reminders. The spleen has been the one that I've understood the least. And I still have a hard time really understanding the spleen. But from what I know in my system, is that I don't really know when enough is enough with fear. So I can have these moments when fear just strikes me and I get cold in my whole body and I'm like panicking and all these things start happening in my body. And how that's not normally how I work. So in those moments, those are like exceptional moments. But in those moments when panic hits, like things just go out absolutely out of control. And luckily, I've experienced this since I was a child. So I have my methods now, but I didn't realize that this was the spleen. Um, so it's fairly recent that I've started to observe the spleen and observe what happens there. What I know with my undefined spleen is that I immediately feel what is unhealthy for other people and what can put them in danger. And that's super interesting. That is super, super interesting. And I'm starting to value that more. So, yeah. So, with my defined centers, what I've been doing, Let's start with the emotional center because with the solar plexus, because I have emotional authority. To be honest, that's the center that has been fairly balanced for me. I have a very natural, understanding emotional life. I'm very understanding towards myself and my feelings. So maybe that's why this is sort of in balance. When I was younger, I used to blame my feelings on other people sometimes, especially when I was out of balance. And when I was in a low in my emotional wave, I could behave in certain ways if I didn't get alone time. And in my high, I used to be super extreme and say yes to everything. But being on the roof, I don't do those things. And I feel like on the roof, things have really settled. Actually, also before the roof. But yeah, so that's pretty nice. And I understand my wave. I feel like the wave is just a part of me, right? Let's see, what do we have next? We have the heart. I have a defined heart. And how this has played out is that I have actually repressed my heart, which is so sad. I've repressed my ego center, meaning that I've gone with what other people want or may want for me and may want in general, rather than feeling in what do I want. And I do have a strong will. So the strong will has been there. I am stubborn in many cases. So it's not like I've let go of that. It has been able to thrive in its own ways. But when it comes to other people, to relationships, to groups, I've rarely done what I want to do or suggested something that I want to do. And maybe that's the four line that has been afraid of rejection. Maybe the manifestor aura that's afraid of rejection, afraid of being thought of as crazy. I have no clue. But yeah. So actually, this year, I'm working a lot with my heart. I'm working with what does Paulina want? And that is so beautiful, I feel. Yes, finally, what do I want? So that feels amazing. The next center is the G center, which I have defined. And the G center is interesting because when it comes to that, I think of my style, which actually I've repressed as well. I've had a relationship in the past where I wasn't allowed to dress the way I wanted to. It was a very psychologically abusive relationship in that way. So I've actually, after that, long time after that, repressed my inner need to dress in a certain way. I've always felt the need to express myself through clothing. And maybe for 10 years or more, I didn't do it. I played it safe. I, of course, picked pieces that I liked, but I didn't go above and beyond where I actually wanted to go. For example, I like very specific types of clothing, like flared jeans, flared pants, velvet blazers, band t-shirts, I don't know, big hair, hats. And my recent obsession is Victorian style. Like these big blouses with like, I don't know, fancy stuff and jewelry and a vest, like these sorts of things. And now at 35, I'm allowing myself to start playing with style again, which feels so good. I feel like this is making me so fulfilled in my G center. My G center gets to express a direction, a style, and an identity. And so, yeah, more to come on style. I might even do a style video at one point because why not? Other than that, my G center has always known the direction I want to go, but since I've not followed my heart's desires, I've kept it safe. Sometimes the direction in my life has also been repressed. So that is something that I'm really working on now. I want to go all in some of my heart's desires and directions. So that feels really cool. And lastly, we have this little precious throat of mine, the throat center. Oh, how I have repressed my throat. Oh, how I have silenced myself out of fear of rejection. This is not healthy. This is manifested in a lot. And I know that some of the things that have gone on in my body health wise are due to me repressing some of these things that I've, talked about today. And as I have liberated myself and loosened up the tight grip that I've been holding onto this thought of mine that I need to act and be in a certain way, otherwise I'm not going to be accepted by society. Some of these health issues have, slowly just disappeared or are just coming up to the surface, which in my world is a sign of healing. And my shoulders have become much lighter. I don't have this weight on my shoulders anymore like I used to. I don't have as much pressure over my throat as I used to. I still have it because I haven't expressed myself fully still, which is what I'm practicing here. I'm starting a podcast together with a friend, and I'm going to practice talking with another human being there. And this YouTube channel is me just talking from the heart on my own. So I'm on a journey, and I realize when saying all of this now that I just want to thank you who's watching this, who's listening with your heart, listening to my heart. And I hope this inspires you to have a look at your energy centers, that the undefined, the defined, and see what's happening within you. How are you deconditioning in this world that we live in? Is it hard? Is it easy? Manifestor, projector, reflector, MG, generator. How's it going for you? I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy, especially as we have our responsibilities in this square society that we live in. But just know that there are possibilities to get out of this square somewhat. Take step by step. Just look at me. I've actually gone out of the hamster wheel a little bit because I work 80%. My Fridays are off. I chose to have an 80% role. And this is because I slowly want to step out of being part of corporate. So, yeah, we all have our ways to get out of a situation, and it doesn't have to happen immediately. Even though we might want it to, I know what that feels like. Trust me. I've been in corporate for 10 years and I've wanted out ever since. But, some processes take time. And that's most of the time because of the mental here. We are not supposed to make decisions based on our brains. But here we are, we have human design, we are learning. So that's really good. I want to thank you for listening again. And yeah, until next time.